Hey, Stoney here with another game of Mechabellum, and I often believe that crazy plays stems from moments of desperation, and this is one of those games. Let's go. At the bottom here, I'm playing as a quick supply specialist, and I am up against Toasty Toast Sauce playing as a cost control specialist. Both of us started with sledgehammers, and as always, I like to have my sledgehammers closer to the center. That gives me more option, longer chaff line, and just overall more directions, right? Because I can take mech rage, I can do a sledgehammer cage. There's a lot of ways I can go, and I'm not putting them exactly on the line, so in case my opponent does go with things like scorpion, I can still defend against it. My opponent is putting down his sledgehammers a little closer to his tower, and for round one I've decided to go without a chaff line, and that is just because I have 2 squads of sledgehammers, 3 marksmen. All I needed, it was just a bit more chaff clear, and I should be able to just power through this line of units here. Whenever lower MMR players gets the advice of building more chaff, I think that advice is slightly misleading, because yes, generally speaking, having more chaff is okay, but the real reason behind getting more chaff is not so much to have more chaff, is to have longer chaff lines than your opponent. So what I mean by that is you want your carry units to start shooting at your opponent's carry units, while your opponent's carry units are still shooting at your chaff. How do you do that? Well, one way is to have more chaff, sure. And the other way is to have more chaff clear. If your opponent has better chaff clear and gets rid of your chaff before you get rid of his, then he will have advantage, right? So it's not about having more chaff, it's about having longer lasting chaff line. All right, round 2. Both of us took the haste module, and my opponent, being a cost control specialist, is putting down a giant right here, Vulcan round 2. And the reason he's able to do that is because round 1, he had that extra 100, and of course round 2, another extra 100. So at round 2, while I get 400 supplies, he actually has 600 supplies, allowing him to bring this Vulcan here on the line. And this is very problematic. A giant on the line at round 2 is not easy to deal with. I don't have any steel balls. All of my units deal sort of a definite damage, so no scaling, no charging, none of that. Very difficult to deal with. And also because it's a giant, if I don't kill it, I will take 350 damage to my HP. So I couldn't really do a lot of rounds with giants on the board. And now that one of them is already down, I would not be surprised if another one will come down very shortly. Subsidized steel ball gets offered in the early rounds. I think steel balls is a viable counter, but it's just so difficult, right? A level 2 Vulcan counters level 2 steel balls. I mean, every one level that Vulcan gets requires almost 1.5, if not 2 levels of the steel ball to counter properly, especially if it takes Scorch. And right now he's on the line, so he really doesn't have a lot of reason to take range. I would expect him to take Scorch as the first item. Another Vulcan gets put down. I'd expected that, so there's going to be 2 steel balls, and they're going to ram straight into them. Now, I haven't taken armor yet, so these steel balls aren't exactly great at tanking the shots, but they are level 2. And here I notice another problem, which is that my chaff clear is horrendous. 1 pack of steel ball is already on target. Unfortunately, the other steel ball is just still breaking through the chaff line, and now finally getting onto target. Not able to bring it down, but this round is working out a little bit better because I am able to get tower, and the marksman should be able to clean up this Vulcan. Phantom Ray gets offered. I knew my opponent is going to take Phantom Ray. It's such a great combination with the Vulcan. Phoenix is not a great option, but I think with the units at the line here, Phantom Ray just does considerably more damage than the Phoenixes. For me, I also wanted to take Phantom Rays. They are a very tanky unit, and also they deal well into the giant. However, I just don't have as good of a setup as my opponent. This chaff clear from these two Vulcan are just too darn good. And to fix the chaff clear issue, I decided to get 2 units of Wraith. Since these Vulcans are so oppressive, with Scorch now, I can't afford to have a lot of units on the ground in front of these Vulcans, so might as well start moving things into the air. At first, I thought about having this Wraith in front of the Phantom Rays. I mean, they're both really tanky units. But after further consideration, I think it makes sense to have the Wraith behind the Rays. Because I actually do need to have chaff clear to deal with these late arriving crawlers. Even if my Phantom Rays go down, my Steel Ball should still be able to finish the job, or at least that's what I hope. Alright, on the right hand side, the Steel Ball gets instant deleted by these 2 squads of level 2 Phantom Rays. We're still struggling with chaff clear right here in the middle. In fact, we're struggling with chaff clear everywhere. We got crawlers running all over the place. So this game is slipping away from me. Not only does my opponent have 2 very significant strong points at the front line, he's giving me very little wiggle room to defend against something like this. In order to defend both the Vulcan and the Phantom Rays, I will need to have the perfect unit combination, and it's very difficult. All right, round 5, we have a couple cards. I think Efficient Light Manufacturing is an interesting card. Eventually, I think I might want to go with a lot of Wasp, or maybe I just do a lot of Chaff. But it is also a card that sometimes can backfire. It's so expensive, right? You have to buy 6 units in order to really break even here. Actually, 7 units if you count the additional 50 supply that you are not going to get. So that's a lot of investment for that 300 at round 5. All right, so the reason I took that is because I was still hopeful that there may be a counter in the Steel Balls. However, as the game progresses and as these Vulcans get leveled, and of course the Phantom Rays get leveled, that seems to be less likely over time. I sold my Phantom Ray here, added another squad of crawlers just to distract this pack for a little bit longer. Fire goes down for my opponent. And if you're just looking at the board, like as if you're watching this game for the very first time, you will bet on my opponent 10 out of 10 times. There's just no way. Like, my board is extremely weak into what my opponent has. And yeah, it's not easy. So if you're watching the video up to this point, what do you think I should do? Leave a comment below and continue watching. A huge round for my opponent, taking me down to 1400. Could not take another hit like that. Mobilized Battleship is offered. This is a great tempo card. Now, unfortunately, I don't think I have a very good spot in the back line. There's just a lot of crawlers, a lot of fans, just leading things everywhere. However, Battleship, or Overlord, is a pretty decent counter towards the Phantom Rays. And with enough upgrades, they can also be a decent counter into Vulcan as well. Now, I only have enough money to have 1 boat, and of course the call down with the free temporary boat. So I can't really afford to spread them on both sides, because I noticed that there are Phantom Rays, 2 packs of them on both sides. Now, I don't care how good your boats are, a level 1 boat is not going to kill 2 level 3 Phantom Rays. It's just mathematically not possible. So instead of trying to force both sides and defend on both sides, I've decided to abandon the right side and just focus on the left-hand side. Why? Well, first of all, there are lower level Phantom Rays, which means I'm more likely to succeed. And 2, I think there are just 1 less Vulcan. Alright, launcher overload boats are doing well into these level 2 Phantom Rays. He is going to get my tower. Okay, got his. But his level 3 Phantom Rays, they are doing so much damage to the tower here. Alright, well, the boats are doing okay, and we did get the giant. There's still one more hit on my health. A bunch of interesting choices. I think in this case, the Typhoon works best. Everything's already on the line, and I do need on-the-line chaff clear. So I've decided to take the Typhoon and start transitioning my board into Typhoon boat. Shield gets immediately picked. I think Shield are a great protection into the fire for the Vulcans, even though they are a little bit vulnerable to Phantom Rays, but it is something that they'll have to deal with. More boats gets put down. My opponent took the Mustangs and now with AA, so that could be very scary for my boats. Right now, they do not have range, which means these boats are only shooting at 90 meters. So they're the, I think, aside from the Wraith and the Steel Balls, of course, they have the lowest range for range attack, like lower than the Typhoon, which means they'll get prioritized by these Mustangs. Not a great sign. On the right-hand side, even though my tower is level 2, I do expect my opponent to quickly get through these units. So if I'll need a way to secure my right-hand side while pushing for the left-hand side. Okay. I do like the Typhoon formation here. And now with a level 2 Overlord with the item, so the haste module increases the speed, increases the attack, and that should give me the edge I need to completely break through on this side, despite the fact that there are a bunch of anti-air Mustangs on level 3. But the boat is still just a little too strong here. Alright, Typhoon's tearing it through. And I'm scaling with my boats. Gonna get another level. But unfortunately, these level 3 rays are already on my tower, and they are going to get my tower. Ooh, that's very scary. Still got rays, we got Typhoon, we got full squad of tanks, and 2 giants. This might be very close to lethal. Down to 196. I am back against the wall here. Alright, EM. The EM take here was mostly just for shield break and also disabling the Mustangs. Now thinking back, I think the EM might have been a bit of a wasteful technology because there really isn't a lot of technology being taken, and the ones that have been taken, they don't make that much of a difference. So imagine if I did get Scorch and range, the Vulcan was still just chaff clear just fine. So in retrospect, that probably wasn't the most sensible decision. Because if I didn't take EM and have the extra 250, that's quite a few boats, right? You can even get level 2 boats putting down, and that's pretty powerful. All right. I added a pack of level 2 steel balls here just to deal with the Mustangs. These steel balls do have armor, so they will tie up these Mustangs for quite a bit, and I am completely evacuating on my right-hand side. I added oil because everything will have to go through the oil in order to get to my tower. And I am mobile beaconing the core units here, which is the Steel Ball and the Typhoon, all the way to the opposite side. New boats gets added in. And I was looking around the board here. I was like, is this an opportunity to use the EM? And I couldn't find any. So I'm going to hold on to the EM for now. My opponents start to sell out of the Phantom Rays. Alright, Steel Balls warping in. And it did its job because now I already have my Steel Balls on his Mustangs, which means the Mustangs are no longer shooting at my boats. And on the right hand side, all of his Mustangs and all of his crawlers died in this fire. Alright, now we're swinging back. We got 3 boats, 2 of them level 2. And I mean, my opponent barely has any anti-air. It's got some rays, and they're not really anti-air against my boats here. So a huge turnaround round. Now, I do expect my opponent to have some sort of answer here. Underground threat is offered. This is a very dangerous card in this stage of the game because both players have a lot of resources and I don't want to take any chances with underground threat, so I've decided to double tech with replicate and impactor. And it's going to give me some tempo into his board. And he also took the replicate, but it is a single tech, so my crawler on the line, if without the Vulcan support, should still win the fight. And also at the back here, it should still do okay. I noticed how effective the fire was last game into this area, so I've decided to buy 1 more squad of Phantom Ray here and just use the sticky oil bomb. I've actually never used the sticky oil bomb, so this is like one of the few times that I'm trying this in a real game. Let's see how it goes. And I'm just going to parade this pack of Phantom Rays all the way to the other side. So hopefully I'll leave blotches of oil for my opponent's crawlers to walk through. My opponent's thinking the same thing. He's putting oil down here. But unfortunately, I don't have a lot of chaff. My primary chaff consists of armor steel balls. And outside of steel balls, I got 2 squads of crawler and 1 squad of fans here. So they're not really that good. Alright, EM goes down. A bit of a misplay here for my opponent. Didn't actually connect the fire with the oil. Not that he needs to, because eventually there will be units stepping on the oil and it will get ignited anyways. Melting point goes down with range and energy diffraction, presumably to deal with the boats. Alright, the oil is actually doing a lot of work. That patch of oil actually completely destroyed a full squad of level 3 Mustang, so it was fantastic. Alright, multi-beam doing a lot of work. These level 3 Phantom Rays, they are the heroes of this game. Level 5 Phantom Rays. Allowing this multi-melter to log on for a lot longer. That was a very scary moment. If the multi-melter were able to log on for like 3 more seconds, I would have lost at least 2 boats, and I wasn't sure that I would be able to win this round. I cannot afford to lose any rounds because my health is at 196. And neither can my opponent, down to 375. So we're getting to the final unit drop here. A couple great options. I think with the Phantom Ray and also with the multi-melter, I could have taken the Sabertooth with range and double shot, but that's a hefty investment. And I'm already heavily invested into boats, so I really don't need to have another unit that does exactly what a boat does. So instead, I took the Rhino. Now, the original idea was to sell the Rhino, but then I thought to myself, you know what? All these units are kind of crumbed up, balled up together here. I wonder if I have an opportunity to just get this Rhino right here, wedged right in between a bunch of giants. Getting all his units, his crawlers over here, and just do a really good chaff here. My opponent also took the Rhino, but unlike me, which is going with a suicide bomb, he is going with the blender, going straight for my tower. I took the second tech on the boats, which is range, put down new boats, and also there's the temporary boat, which is off cooldown. Boats with range is very difficult to deal with if you're not prepared for, and I don't believe the 2 melting points are sufficient in dealing with the boat with range. If I do survive this round, next round is going to be the 3rd tech, which is high explosive ammo, and I'm just going to put down a whole lot of wasps. Or actually in this case, instead of wasps, armor steel balls will probably be okay too. Lots of missiles going down. Just to make sure that there's no cheeky stuff happening. All right, let's go. The Rhino is going in. The Rhino's going in. Oh, the Rhino is not exactly in close enough with these two other giants, but it did get one giant and a bunch of crawlers. On the other side, the Typhoon is working away here at a level 6 Phantom Ray. However, I am winning pretty hard on the left-hand side with the Steel Ball on tower. I was able to get the tower down, and now my boats are working on this giant. The multi-melter is scary. And I may get a tower debuff. Oh, very lucky to not get debuff. And with that, I was able to turn this game around from 196. Alright, so a very... It definitely was a game that made me feel very good, because I was for sure that I was going to lose after round 4. I'm very happy that I committed into boats on the line earlier on into the Phantom Rays. And once the Phantom Rays are gone, I have a bit more wiggle room in dealing with the rest of his army. The fire on the side here, knowing that your opponent is probably just going to rush for tower, was fantastic. I wish more people would do that. And of course, the mobile beacon pullback. The oil was interesting. Always wanted to use oil into an aggro position, but never really got much of a chance to until now. So I definitely want to start trying oil in the future. And the oil has an amazing range. It's not restricted by the Phantom Ray's mediocre range of 80 meters. The oil itself has a range of 180 meters. So instead of having Phantom Rays right here, I could have Phantom Rays back here with a sole purpose of doing oil stuff, right? Just put them back here, put on a mobile beacon, so they just go back and forth, dropping oil at the front line. That could be an idea. All right, I hope you enjoyed this game. And if you want to see another amazing game, here's a video for you. And I hope to see you on the next one.
Prepare your tactics. Mechabellum's calling. Deploy your fortress. The battlefield's alive with swarms.